Hi, this is Jeff Leader from the Utah Shakespeare Festival. I'm the costume director at the festival, and I have some information about thermoplastics that you can use for making costume accessories and props. Following the video, there will be links to other YouTube videos and websites for information on purchasing the materials for further exploration of thermoplastics. The main types of thermoplastics that we use in the costume shop at the Utah Shakespeare Festival is Variform. Variform comes from a company called Douglas & Sturgis in San Francisco. It's a thermoplastic, meaning it's heat sensitive, and this gray material is the plastic, and if you look carefully you can see the scrim on the back side of a cotton scrim which stabilizes it. It's milled to a standard thickness. Another material we use is Variform. Variform is an open mesh material. It's a cotton scrim with a thermoplastic material applied to it. It melts at a slightly lower temperature and is quite sticky, but it has an open weave if you want a more open appearance to the finished product. Cosplayers might be familiar with products called Worbla. It's relatively new on the market and used to be kind of hard to get. Now you can buy it at Joann's and Michael's pretty much all over the country. Worbla, original Worbla is this material. It has a fiber mixed into it, but no scrim, so it's stretchable and moldable. Black Art Worbla is a new product by the same company, and it has no scrim and melts at a slightly lower temperature and is very flexible, but a little tricky to work with. Worbla also has several other products called Worbla Pro and Clear Worbla and a couple of other Worbla products that have recently been developed. The way to work with thermoplastics is to heat it up, and you can heat it up using a heat gun or a high-powered hair dryer. Heat guns can be bought for $10 or $12 at Harbor Freight or Home Depot, and hair dryers can be bought at any beauty supply store. But you heat it up and then it becomes soft and flexible, and then you can mold it over any form that you like. You can also use a steaming pot of water near boiling and dip it in there and soften it that way. When I'm molding masks, I like to use the water because the water helps keep the material from sticking to the mold. You don't want to mold it over your face directly. That could be a little dangerous, but you can mold it over a wig block that you can get at the beauty supply store. An interesting side note, I think that these materials were all developed through the medical industry and used for casting and holding broken bones in place. So although they use it over skin, we don't want to in this case. We're not trained professionals, doctors at least. So anyway, this is the piece I'm going to use for a mask, and it's just a rectangle right now, and I'll cut it into an oval later. I'm going to dunk it in the near boiling water, use tongs because it will get hot to pick it out, and it quickly softens. Don't use a pot that you're going to use for cooking later. Buy an inexpensive pot at the thrift shop or the discount store and use it, dedicate it to the process. There's not a whole lot of serious harmful chemicals, but you don't want to contaminate your food with bits of plastic. You can see that it softens rather quickly and it gets quite sticky. I'm going to lay it over the form and stretch it out to mold it over the face. You can make it as big or small as you like, and it quickly cools and hardens into shape. You don't have to worry about rubber gloves. The materials aren't going to be toxic as long as you don't overheat them. The materials aren't going to be toxic, and they won't stick to you. If little bits stick it, they rub right off. I'm making this oversized so that I can trim it down later. Let it cool completely. It'll take a few minutes, and then you can pop it off from the mold. I can use the corset bone to slide underneath gently and release it from the face mold. And then I can trim it to any shape I like. And if you want some reinforcement, just cut a little strip from the scraps heat it up. And adhere it right along the edge. This material is completely non-toxic and safe for children of all ages. Although you're using heat, I wouldn't work with too young children with it, but it isn't toxic. Shouldn't eat it, but it isn't toxic. You can retrim, and you can build up that edge any way you like. See, it gives a little nicer edge to it. If you use the Variform product, it's the same process. I'll dunk that in and let it takes a few minutes longer to heat up, but it softens rather quickly, you can see, and I can mold it over the form. It doesn't really matter if you put the scrim side up or down when you're molding, and you can press the folds and wrinkles out and get them to smooth. You can use a wooden molding tool like a clay tool and burnish the edges down if you like. There's no eye holes in this. I'm going to cut the eye hole holes after it hardens. Use my thumbs to push down into the eye sockets. That's why you wouldn't want to do it on your own face or on somebody else's face. And get it to take the shape. You have a few minutes of working time, but it does cool off pretty quickly. You can go back with the heat gun and heat it up a little bit, but be careful over the styrofoam not to heat the styrofoam too much because it can burn and release toxic fumes. Okay, I think that's good. You can see that it's a very basic shape right now, kind of a domino shape, but we can add lots of pieces and trim to it later. Let's see if it's still soft. I'm going to let it cool for a minute. You can mold this stuff over other shapes. Here's a wig block or head block for a hat that I molded the black warbler over. I burnished the edges down, and I had a tear and a hole in it right here, and I just put another piece over top of it, heated it, and burnished it down with the clay tool until I smoothed it out to the same thickness. Okay? And then this can be trimmed away and it can be used for a headpiece or any other proper or costume piece that you might like. While this is cooling, I'll talk about pieces that are left over. If you have pieces that are blown out or overheated, you can take them and heat them up and then use them like molding clay with a little bit of heat. And I'm using a marble surface. I got this at the counter store. They gave me a cut-off piece. It makes a nice heat-resistant table. You wouldn't want to work on a wooden table or a cutting board surface. You might start a fire. These heat guns get really hot, much hotter than a hairdryer. So be careful when using a heat gun. So that's all that took. And now I can mold this into a clay. It's a little stiff still, but I can reheat it, and I can mold it into any shape I like, and then I could adhere this eyebrow piece if I wanted to on top of this with a little more heat later on. Okay? So any scrap, any piece that's left over is useful. You don't have to throw it away and start over. So here's a piece that's cooled. It's separated from the wig block, and you can see that it's got plenty of wrinkles and texture to it. I can trim this up. I can cut eye holes to it. I can fit it on the actor, warm it up again slightly, and shape it to their face if I want to. And then I can use the leftover pieces of warbler and add any details. Let's dunk it in the boiling water here on the edge and see if I can get it to adhere to the mask here. No, it's not hot enough. I'll have to try it this way. There's a fine line between getting it too hot so that it destroys the shape and hot enough to get sticky for adhering. Kitchen tongs from the hardware store are useful so you don't burn your fingers. I'm just heating that bottom edge a bit. There's two powers on this this heat gun. Some of the more elaborate heat guns have temperature controls. You can also use hot glue or E6000 or any number of other adhesives to adhere the parts together if you can't get it to stick with just the heat itself. But I might get this to stick. That might stay on for a little while. So there's a little eyebrow. Scraps of the Variform can be used as well. This piece was molded over the same form. It's kind of free form. I can trim it away if I like to a more standard shape, or I can leave it that way. But these leftover pieces I can heat up. And add to this. They get quite sticky, and I can add to this. I can stretch it and pull it and create a fantastical shape. Do some research. If you're doing animal masks, you can look at animals and make them a little more human in form. But this stuff works great for all those kinds of things. You can accentuate the nose. You can accentuate the eyes and create quite a nice shape. Here's a couple finished pieces that were just kind of thrown together. Here's a Variform piece with some of the Wonderflex added to it and a little tip. You can see the airiness of it. The edges can be quite sharp. You can smooth them off with a little heat and a little smoothing of your finger or a tool so that you don't scratch anybody. Fun little mustache added on, a top hat and a flower, I guess. And then this can be secured with elastic. Here's a more finished sample piece that was done in a workshop with high school teachers last summer. It was painted quickly with spray paint and painted from the top side with blue and purple. Do you see that? And then painted from the underneath side with pink so that it brings out some of the detail. It was painted really quickly. You can go back with a brush and add some details if you like, but mostly you can get a lot of depth just by spraying it from one direction or another. If, with the Variform, if you want a more solid edge, you can wrap another piece around it. This piece was molded on the head block here, and I felt like it was a little soft and wobbly at the edge, so I just heated up another piece of the Variform and stuck it on. Burnished it down with the clay tool, and it stuck quite nicely. Then I can go back later and retrim the edge to the way I want it. After you mold a piece of either Worbla or the Variform over a mold, sometimes you have a hard time getting it off. And a way to use a tool to get it off is a corset bone. You can buy these 1/2-inch wide corset bones at cosplay supply stores or corset supply sources online. And you can just use it to kind of work your way under the mold and loosen it from the aluminum foil. They're really flexible, and so you can get it all the way up and under and help release the mold, and then the whole thing will pop off quite nicely. You can cover your molds with aluminum foil or with saran wrap, or with, if it's a plastic mold and you're not going to damage it, you can use baby oil or cooking oil on it. Some of the spray cooking oils work, but it does make a mess of the inside of the piece, so you have to clean that off later after you're done. The aluminum foil might stick to the Variform, but usually you can pull it off. The saran wrap might melt into it if you use the heat gun. If you use the water bath, it won't stick as much because it doesn't heat up quite as much and get as sticky. But sometimes the heat gun will cause it to adhere, and then you have to pull it off, especially if you want an open finish. Now, if you don't want an open finish to this, you can mold it in any shape you like, and then you can cover it with layers of paper towels and white glue. Or sometimes what we use is China silk, which is a thin, inexpensive silk material, and we cover it with the silk and the glue like a paper mache, only it's a fabric mache. You could use muslin too if you wanted, and then you get a much more solid finish to it. You can gesso it and then sand it down. You could use Bondo or drywall finishing plaster to get a nice smooth surface to it, and then it could look quite nice for armor or a metal finish. We use the Wonderflex a lot for crowns. It can be cut into a strip, and then pieces fleur-de-lis and points and peaks can be added to it. It's flexible, and you can add several layers together to stabilize it. Crowns have to be in an oval shape so they fit the head. Oftentimes people make them in round shapes, and nobody's head that I've found yet is really round. So you have to kind of make it oval, and you can soften it slightly as you finish it and put it over a hat block to get it to fit on the shape. When you're making a crown, you want to make sure that you leave enough clearance so that you can put a fabric lining inside it so there's no snags, and take that into consideration when you're making the size. You don't want to make it too small so that after you put the lining in, then it sits on top of the head and doesn't fit. Metal pieces can be adhered, added to it. You can go to the crafts department at Michaels or Joann's and find all sorts of jewelry findings or pieces of broken jewelry and adhere to it to add some finish to the crown shape. So I'll direct you to some of the websites that I think have great information. Douglas & Sturgis is the company that we order from quite a bit. Worbla.com has a website with lots of tips and tricks, and they can direct you to places to buy Worbla. They don't sell it from that website directly, but they have their vendors are listed. Tap Plastics, CosplaySupplies.com, WonderFlexWorld.com, and The Engineer Guy are several places that supply thermoplastics to consumers. All you have to do on YouTube is Google cosplay armor, and you'll find hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of instructional videos. And the cosplay world is really generous, it seems, with their tricks and techniques, so you can get lots of information. Becca Noel was at the Shakespeare Festival 2 years ago for a Worbla workshop through the United States Institute for Theater Technology. She did a 3-day workshop with us, and she's a rather well-known cosplayer and pattern maker. She has made patterns for McCall's, and so she's got some videos out there too. Her regular day job is at Manhattan Wardrobe Supply, and they sell Worbla as well. Thank you very much for watching this little video. I hope you found some tips and tricks that you can use, and go to the websites that I mentioned or the YouTube videos and find some more. Don't be afraid to play with Worbla, with Variform, or any of the other products mentioned. There's lots of exciting things to do. When you finish your project, take some pictures of it and tag us on social media so that we can see the results of your work. And also, please come for the 2021 season in Cedar City, Utah, where we've got a great lineup, and we're looking forward to seeing you next summer.